What's going on, Babylonians? It's me, Songs of Raids, and I am back to be able to bring some Diablo 4 content your way. Now today we're actually going to be covering one of the first world bosses that you will tend to encounter once you hit that all-elusive world tier 3. Now this guide is going to be all about the Wandering Death and being able to explain all the mechanics so you have an idea as to what you're going into when it comes into this fight, and so you should be able to walk away with a victory. Should be a relatively short video, but we're going to discuss all the attack patterns and what the rewards are. So if you do enjoy this kind of content, you want to see more from us when it comes to Diablo, make sure to drop a like and a subscribe. It really helps the channel out and lets you know where to be able to find us when you're on your way back. Well, all that said and done, what are we waiting for? Let's get right into it. So when it comes to the Wandering Death, we have to look out for 5 techniques or 5 groups of moves to be able to get an idea, to be able to make sure that we move around the battlefield, to be able to evade and to be able to keep ourselves nice and healthy. Now, these 5 can be pulled into the pulls of hands for damage over time, the ground slams for physical damage, rotating laser beams, which we'll see a 2x and a 3x version of, diagonal rakes coming back towards him, which are fairly easy to be able to spot, and the bone half circle prisons, which will explode after a little while and will be lethal if you're caught inside. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a little bit of discussion how you can spot for these ones, how you're able to keep an eye out for them, and to be able to make sure knowing when to be able to use your movement text to be able to get out of the way. So let's start with the pulls of hands for damage over time. Now these are going to be the majority of the time. These are pretty much going to be littered around the battlefield, and these are going to start trying to limit your movement when it comes to being able to move all the way around the Wandering Death. So these are relatively easy to spot. You can see these pretty much bright as day. These are the green pulls, and they have like little hands that are doing like animations as if they're trying to reach out from the ground to be able to pull you back down. And if standing within these will not only give you a screen effect to be able to show you that you're basically stood within one of these if you haven't already spotted it, you will also start to genuinely lose some health, so you definitely need to be able to keep an eye out for that. The longer you stay in this, the more least likely you are going to be able to walk out of this alive, so definitely make sure you keep an eye out when it comes to your location. The next technique to be able to look out for is another relatively simple one, and these are going to be the ground slams for physical damage. Once the Wandering Death is winding these up, you'll be able to see a very faint kind of green circle, and these normally come in pairs, and it's because of the amount of arms that the Wandering Death does possess. So these will will tell you basically where these are going to impact, and if you are caught within one of these circles, you will receive quite a bit of damage, so definitely make sure to be able to try and stay outside of this circle. It's definitely something to pay attention to. Now the one attack that's pretty much going to be unavoidable in a sense if you aren't moving around constantly, this is probably the time where you're probably not going to be attacking as often, but it's pretty obvious to be able to see that this attack is working, is going to be the rotating laser beams. Now these come in forms of 2x and 3x, so normally near the start of the fight the Wandering Death will only fire 2, and these will be to the side of them. Now it's not a flat kind of like 180 kind of like degree angle when it comes to this, it is a little bit concave on one side, so if you do use movement tech to be able to get to the other side, you do have a little bit more of an angle to be able to play with and to be able to land some of these attacks. Now it gets a little bit tighter once you do get into the 3x, but you know, these are still fairly manageable. It does rotate at a slow kind of pace, but it will move around at the same time, so it will try to distance itself very, very slowly, so you do need to be able to keep an eye out on your movement as well as being able to avoid these beams if possible, because you definitely do not want to be coming on me hard into the middle of next week. The last but one attack is going to be the diagonal rakes, which come back to him, and it's really difficult to be able to explain how this one is, but you'll see this one pretty easy as well, because basically you'll see like an earthquake effect when it happens on the ground, and this will tell you basically where these rakes are going out from, but they're also when they're coming back in. So you definitely need it's basically just bog standard, just don't stand within these kind of areas and you won't get hit. It's a relatively easy thing, it's very choreographed, it's very easy to be able to spot, so you shouldn't get hit by these unless you're currently stunned or anything like that, or if you're just not paying attention, but once again, fairly lethal attacks because it is a world boss, so make sure to keep an eye out for that. And then lastly, probably the easiest one to be able to get caught out by, and this is going to be the bone circle prisons. These come in two different versions. We do have half circles and we do have full circles, meaning that they form up walls around a certain area, and if you don't manage to break yourself out, or if you don't manage to like teleport your way out or use some movement tech to be able to get out or anything like that, if you are still within that bone circle, there will be an explosion that will work its way up to be able to then detonate. This is pretty lethal. You definitely do not want to be caught within this. If it's not instant death, it's going to be pretty much taking you down to very little health, so you definitely want to be, as soon as you see these kind of occur, if you have a movement tech like dash, if you have something like teleport as a sorcerer or something like that, absolutely perfect, but otherwise what you can do is just attack the walls, and this will allow you to be able to make an opening for you to be able to move out of, so that you don't get caught up within that explosion and carry on being able to dwindle their health bar down. So those are the 5 attacks, those are the 5 ways to be able to deal with these, and overall it's fairly simple. As long as you're paying attention to the battlefield, it's very easy to be able to get used to the moveset that the Wandering Death does have, and it's definitely a bit easier to be able to kind of like go a little bit timid when into this fight, considering what we've seen with like Ashava when it comes to the beta. The Wandering Death is a little bit on the easier side compared to that, so there you definitely can get this done, and I managed to do this at level 51 when the Wandering Death spawned at level 55. That's because as a minimum, if you do move to World Tier 3, these kind of locations will always start at 55, and then once you start leveling your way up past that, it will then start scaling with your level. But there we go, that pretty much wraps it up on the video when it comes to being able to give you my tips towards the Wandering Death. You can see the rewards that I managed to get, and you can also see the time that I managed to do on the screen right now. Overall, it's a fairly simple kind of boss fight, and it's one that you can easily get yourself into. Don't worry too much about your certain level. As long as you have a fairly capable build, you should be absolutely fine. But massive thank you for making your way to the end of the video. Massive thank you to the Babylonian family, as always, for their continued support. It really does mean the world to us. And if you did enjoy this video and guide and you want to see more from ourselves, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. It really does mean the world to us. Let me know in the comments section down below, have you already fought the Wandering Death? And let me know what your time or how you managed to get on, and if there's any other tips that you would like to be able to add to this video. And some of the best ones, I will be able to make a pinned comment, and we'll definitely get some nice comments going so that people can actually come back to here to be able to see the best ways to be able to take them down. But with all that said and done, that just leaves me to say, keep yourself safe, keep yourselves well, and I'll see you all on our next video.